All right. Testing, test. Let's see if I'm live. All right. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. All right. And once you're here in the chat, you can give me an emoji and say, hi, Neve. I would love to see you here. All right. So I wanted to jump on today just to connect a little bit and share. Spirit called me to this glorious road trip this summer that I'm on, which really turned into a spiritual sabbatical. And it's been a wild month of a lot of meditation and reflection in nature and love. And I've been off the devices, which has been such a gift to my soul, super nourishing just to step away from screens. So I have about a week left of that, and then it'll be lots of screen time. But I've really been asking myself a lot of these hard questions inspired by our Goddess Book Club. We're doing the book Untamed, which I did a challenge at the beginning of the summer related to the book Untamed. So if you haven't watched my masterclass videos on know, to feel and imagine, I recommend them. And as most of you know, I'm a mentor and coach. I guide women into their potential as embodied, powerful leaders through awakened sexuality, empowered relationship dynamics, and spiritual manifestation. My method is a fusion of dynamic coaching, energy work, ceremony, wisdom practices, divine guidance, rituals, and embracing sexual liberation. I'm an oracle, priestess, medicine woman, guide for ascension and consciousness and divine feminine rising. So I love being part of all of that. Okay, so the question that I've been asking a lot, and let me just make sure I have the chat open. Right, so if you get this, if you join the chat, say hi, so I know you're here, because I love this to be interactive. Really here to serve and inspire, so it's way more fun. So let me know if you're here. And then, yeah, if you're watching this later, you can do #replay. So I just wanted to touch on a few quick things. Let me see if I can pull this window over so it's a little easier for me to see the chat. All right, perfect. Yay. Okay, so I've been reflecting on the questions, and I posted the questions in the group that she asked in the book, but she asked, what's the truest, most beautiful life you can imagine? What's the truest, most beautiful family that you could have? Truest, most beautiful world that we can live in? And then she asked in the book to write it down. And so I've been reflecting all summer on like, what is my truest, most beautiful life, and like stretching my imagination. And I'd love to hear in the chat if anything comes up for truest, most beautiful life. Anchor it in this vortex, please, because it's we can get lost. We can get separated from our desires, or what would be our most truest, beautiful life. So that's something that I've been reflecting on this summer, and then also reflecting a lot on like my life motivations and like why I am where I am and how I got here. And I've noticed, as talking to a lot of other friends and energy workers, a lot of us are in this like reflecting, reevaluating, noticing what's alive for us stage. So I'd love to hear in the chat if you have been in that too, like just kind of noticing what's alive for you, and anything that you have been reflecting on, or yeah, anything that you want to share in the chat would be lovely, because it feels like this time for a lot of people, which is really interesting. So I feel like I'm living like the most beautiful life I have so far. So sometimes it can be really challenging to stretch the imagination, especially when you're in this awareness of love and abundance, then to be like, okay, there's more. What could be more? It can be hard to write. So I wanted to start with something easy for you all. And that is, what do you desire? Like right now, do you desire some water? I desire some water. I have some sparkling water. Perfect. Boom. Desire made. Okay. In the chat, right? What do you desire? It's good to start simple with water, because the bigger things get a little bit harder. getting clear on smaller desires. So I desire healthy food every day. I desire a positive, meaningful life. What do you desire? Put it in the chat. I desire massages. I would say at least weekly massages. I desire cold water plunging. I desire cuddles. I desire a soft bed and restful sleep. So it's important because then you get to the bigger desires. I desire to start a nonprofit to help women who have been abused, right? I desire to help these children at the border that are struggling during the heat wave right now, right? So we start with these little things. I desire for my beloved to brush my hair, and we speak it, and then it manifests. And then it gets easier for us to tap into our altruism and our divine feminine purpose for being on the planet and helping with the environment or helping with children separated from their parents or whatever, these bigger desires of impact and meaning. So start in the chat. I'd love to hear a little desire in the chat, because that's it. Women aren't really nurtured in our culture to like have desires and go after them. And like, even if you watch porn, it's all for men, right? It's not like there's not a lot of like love makey intimate porn out there that I've found. If you know some, send it my way. Because I'm always looking for sacred sexuality in those fields, and I just don't really see it that much. So in the replay, #replay, share a desire. What do you desire? A simple desire doesn't have to be a huge, big desire. Like I said earlier, if we can't really identify what we want, we won't get it. And our desires are pure and beautiful, and it's okay to have them. It's okay for you to desire things. Okay, so when we just start on this divine feminine path, desire can be a little bit elusive, which is why I start something really simple, #simple desire, but it can be very elusive at first, like, oh man, what do I desire? Because we've been trained to serve and give and please, not desire and go after what we want, which kind of brings me to some of the patriarchal wounds. So I wanted to review some of the core wounds from our culture that are probably affecting your thoughts and your behavior patterns and holding you back from divine feminine embodiment. So one is the prostitution wound. Like the prostitution wound is men always paying for things, and then you feel like you owe them something. That's sort of the align with the prostitution wound. The religious wound, not feeling empowered to embrace your sexuality as pure and holy. That's affecting a lot of us. So these are these bigger wounds that are like kind of playing in the background of our subconscious and affecting our behavior and our patterns. So there's the religious wound. And even if you're not religious, God is still male, and like that Christian culture is still very much in our society and affecting things. Especially around sexuality and sexuality being pure and holy, which it is, right? So there's a religious wound of feeling disconnected from source because God's a masculine figure. That can be a wound. That's usually a little bit not as huge, but it just depends. Everybody's wounds are very different. There's the sisterhood wound. This is the mindset of being in competition with other women instead of collaborating with them. That one's usually playing on the background. There's this princess wound of someone's going to save you, or you need to be saved, or someone else is going to give you a purpose for your life. Like the man that you are with, he's going to give you a purpose because you'll make babies and, whatever, take care of the house, which is fine. It's just good to know what the wounding is behind it. That's a great purpose. Just don't get me wrong. Homemakers are amazing. I love personally doing homemaking things. Okay, and then mother wound is also different for everyone. It just kind of depends on what your relationship with your mother is, but most women have some type of wounding there. And then I wanted to just share a little bit about divine feminine qualities, or the aware feminine. She's vulnerable, she's intimate, she's collaborative, she's a true sister, spiritual mother, living in integrity, open, honest, and vulnerable, deep listener, very curious about how people will show up, not assuming or putting people in boxes. So there's a curiosity and witnessing, a lot of curiosity and witnessing with the divine feminine. Grounded and centered. Inner voice being 10,000 times louder than those outside you. This is divine feminine, right? loving and caring for the body, living in a holistic or Ayurvedic lifestyle would be very feminine, divine feminine, tapped into the womb and the ancient moon and womb wisdom, ignited sexual vibrancy, like really this radiant sexual primal creative energy. And that there's something else I want to talk about is being primal, because I have found through awakening my sexual energy, embracing it, awakening it, starting to channel it, move it, transmute it, it is enhanced my primal essence, which has shown up as me growling more, breathing more, yelling more, moving more. And then that's kind of come first full circle back into lovemaking and being more primal, and then feeling healing from that type of lovemaking, which is really interesting. So I'd love to hear in the chat, #replay, and then primal action step. Like, what can you do to embrace being more primal? So the few things that I have for you today is tapping into a desire, sharing a desire. If any of the patriarchal wounds resonated with you, you could share in there, like which wound you feel, you might be carrying still, or have something to work on, or stood out to you, or whatever, any of those things. And then, so desire, the wound, and then a primal action step, right? So these are all things that are helping us step into this divine feminine power. And like when we're in our divine feminine power, our desires are magnetized to us. Our nervous systems are relaxed. There's there's no anxiety. Very, very few episodes of stress. The divine feminine path is the path to the beloved, right? It's the path to love yourself so deeply that you're able to then love everyone else so deeply, right? So I really think of divine feminine initiation as this embracing of the goddess within and allowing her to be birthed outward, and how to navigate that as you have to change the way you talk and your relationships and your behavior. And as you do this deep spiritual work and healing, things shift, right? So this is the divine feminine initiation. And I think it's the most beautiful path to walk on, to step into your power as a woman and to really release the bullshit that has been holding you back. So if you want to talk about that, I would love to have a one-on-one conversation with you. I put the link in this video. I'd love to just connect on what is alive for you in your life right now. What is turning you on? And what is challenging on this path of divine feminine empowerment and embodiment? What do you feel like is holding you back? And a lot of times, if we just in that container of the phone call, if you speak it and we talk about it, it's going to move you forward in the direction you want to go. So I would love to serve you in that way. All right. So good to be with you all for a few minutes. I'm going to enjoy my last week of less screen time, and then I will be on here more serving you. So let me know if there's anything. You can put this in the chat as well, like in the comments, #replay, anything that you would love me to do a class on, a workshop on, a masterclass on, I would love to. So I'm here to serve on this path. I've done so much healing and work to come to this deep place of loving myself and freedom. And I want that for other women. So I would love to serve in that way. Okay. Happy Friday. I love you, and I will see you soon.